1 second. There we go for it.
Yeah, but for me, it's been going well, I think. But
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah, and in general, it's been slower than usual. As you know, I do a lot of like statistics and all that. And yeah, I mean, the market has definitely shifted into a more of a buyer's market. We're starting to see a lot of price reductions, a lot of seller financing. So yeah, I mean, we've seen some movement here and there, but yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting that because we had that post-COVID boost, everybody went up in price, and we had that buying frenzy. And I agree with you from the markets that I have communication in, obviously Costa Rica for me, and in the States as well, and through yourself and a few other contacts in Mexico and actually Portugal and Ecuador also. But everybody's on the same boat, that deals are a little harder to come by, buyers are a little bit more sensitive to price, sellers have got to be a lot more flexible. Definitely gone are the days of, we'll take it, asking price plus 10%, all the closing costs, just get it done. And it's also for me, and I'm sure you'll agree with this, it's also nice actually to be able to win a little bit back for your buyer now. Before, in my experience, getting a good deal was getting a deal, getting it under contract. Put price out of the side, just make sure you get the property if you're really in love with it. Whereas now we're finding a lot more discounts. Are you seeing that in your market as well?
Yeah. Well, in 2022, you're right. Like we used to get like full price offers, and now I think like 99% of the time, there's always a price drop when you have the accepted offer. But also like a very and I'm sure it happens in your market as well. We're seeing a lot of overpriced properties, and like not by 100,000, or like we're talking about like 500,000, just because people are still trying to take or trying to ride that 2022 wave. And actually we had a discussion on our MLS forums in our Facebook group, and one of the admins of the group, he was like, "Hey, I just saw this listing for it was a massive plot of land, and it was $300 million." So he was a little upset because it was like, "There's no way this is worth that. Like, you're pretty much just making us as the MLS look bad because we're allowing this type of listings to happen." And on that comment, well, on that post, there was like 100 comments talking about the same thing. And yeah, I mean, that is also a tactic of a lot of agents. And I've seen it firsthand, in which it's either you give them an imaginary price, something the property is definitely not worth, but that's the only way that you'll get that listing. So we're seeing that a lot, like a lot. And that's the same reason why we're seeing so many price drops recently, or canceled listings and all that.
How do you challenge that then? So, you're on your way to a listing appointment. Chances are the seller has spoken to 2 or 3 other agents. And chances are, he thinks his house is worth the same as the house next door, which unfortunately for him sold in August 2022 at the peak of the market. And he thinks it should be worth what that house is worth, probably plus 5%. How do you approach that meeting with knowing at the back of your mind that effectively your biggest challenge isn't to gain his confidence and build rapport, etc. It's actually just to get him on a realistic price point.
Well, I really pride myself in educating my clients like as much as I can. And we do have the MLS here in Cabo San Lucas. So I really, everything I say, everything I show to my clients, I base it on that info. So for example, if a client of mine tells me, "Hey, I want to sell my house for," if he's got like a $1 million house, and he says, "Hey, but my neighbor has his listed at 2 million," when that neighbor's house is also worth maybe 1.1 million or something like that. Then I think it's my duty, like my job as a real estate agent, to tell them, hey, that price, I can tell you right now that it's not going to sell, at least at that price. And I always like to show them the days on the market of those properties as well. Because we do have there's a specific one that's like, it was on the market for about a year. And according to my CMA, to my market analysis, that house could have been worth like 1.7 million and it was listed at 3.1 million. And that has stayed on the market for one whole year, then they didn't sell. And that was one house that a lot of clients told me like, hey, no. If this house is worth 3 million, then mine is worth 3.2. Like,
Yeah.
they're just imaginary numbers, but I use a lot of statistics to pretty much convince them and to bring them down from that bubble. And just be honest with them. Like, do they really want to sell? Or do they just want to I don't know, entertain offers or show other places? Because if the property is not priced to sell, it won't sell. And that's when you have to pretty much just um just be honest with yourself and be honest with your client and be like, hey, if we can't list your property at this price, then it's not even worth putting it out on the market. Because that affects you as an agent, and that just sets like a bad record. Because I mean, at the end of the day, we are sellers, we are not listers. So I mean, you're gonna have 20 listings, but if they're sitting there for 1 year, then no good.
Yeah, I completely agree. I completely agree. Okay, so lots of stats and good old fashioned here's the bad news, and are we here to sell the property or are we here to list the property? And it's two very different conversations. Have you been in a position where, again, back to the example that we gave of, agent A goes over and says, how much do you want to list it for? And the seller says 3 million, and agent A says, great, I'll take the exclusive. What do you do in those situations where you come up with against the seller saying, well, another broker came by and told me it's going to be worth X and Y. I prefer to work with you. You've got great branding, great success stories in the luxury real estate market, but I can't list with you at 1.5 if agent A is going to give me 3 million. Do you try and counter that? Would you entertain taking the listing, but with a view to, okay, we'll take it at 3 million, but if we don't get any inquiries or offers in the first 3 months, we're doing a big price reduction? Or would you actually go the other extreme and say, no problem, give it to listing A and call me in a year when you haven't sold it and we'll have another conversation?
I think it depends on the relationship that you have with that client. Um, if I see no real hope with this client, like if I know that he's not going to list it for less, then I'm like, okay, then clearly I understand that you don't want to sell. These are imaginary numbers. You can go ahead and go with this agent, but please, if he doesn't sell it, then we'll gather later on, maybe in 6 months or in a year, because here most of the contracts are for like 6 months, so it's easier that way. Like, hey, if it doesn't sell, we can either do a price reduction, or you're more than welcome to come to me again, and we'll do it.
Okay. Okay. Nice.
Yeah. It's always hard because I mean, all clients are friends of yours, so it's always a little tough to sit them down and talk to them like that, but sometimes you just have to do it.
Yeah, and I think also in my experience, I feel that buyers and sellers really appreciate the honesty of it. Look, okay, actually, maybe not at first, but maybe that second conversation in 6 months' time, it's okay. Wow, I should really have listened to you, Jorge, and you were right. We didn't sell. We were overpriced, and I feel that sometimes you get that win when the client comes back to you. Jorge, tell me a little bit about how long have you been in real estate? What made you get into real estate? I think I know this from private conversations that we've had, but if you wouldn't mind telling me a little bit about kind of, how did you get to where you are now, which is, in my opinion, and from what I know, definitely one of the more knowledgeable. And I really like your style, which is more of presenting the information and letting the information do the work rather than really going for the pressure sell.
Yeah, well, I've always been kind of shy, and again, I haven't been in this business long enough to talk from experience a lot of the times. I do have a background in accounting, but well, it started back in 2020, like mid 2022. I got my license in 2023. So like as a licensed real estate agent, I've been doing this for 2 years, um, almost 2 years. So it's always uh, two friends of mine worked in this brokerage, um, a guy named Enrique and Vincent as well. So I had I was about to finish my with college with the university, and I saw them sell properties here in Pedregal, and I mean I live in Pedregal as well, so I was like, I started to look at their videos, I started to look at what they did, and I was like, I could probably do this. I could probably do this as well. So I sat down with one of them. He pretty much convinced me to join him, and that's how I started. But yeah, I mean, since I don't have the experience that most of the agents have, because man, I can tell you, there's very few agents under 30, I think. I'm 25, so I can't really, in that point, I can't really compete with most of these agents because, they have more experience. Maybe they have other investments, more sales than I do. So I always try to help my clients the best way that I can, and that's with statistics because that's what I really dwell on because of my accounting and all that. So that's kind of like how I've managed to survive, if you want to call it that, in this environment. But yeah, yeah, that's how
I think you're more than surviving, buddy. I think I really like that you took all the things that you're good at and turned that into your sales style. It's statistics, it's numbers, it's probability, and and really diving into the back end, which I think probably a lot of people don't do. A lot of agents prefer the an English phrase of gift of the gab, and I'll rely on being able to talk somebody into something, etc., and maybe veering away from a more standard sort of process, if you like. Okay, that's interesting. And what training did you have, and had you're closing $1 million deals and listing $1 million properties on a relatively regular basis. How did you get from first week on the job with your accounting background to where you are now in a couple of years, going from scratch to one of the better performers in the brokerage?
well, I like to think of myself as a very good listener. So I just try to stick to the better agents that we have here, like Vincent, like Enrique, which he's no longer in this company, but they pretty much just guided me through everything. Um, of course, we did have some the Coldwell Banker School and all that, which did help me a little bit. But but most of the things that I learned were through my own listings or through my own experiences, like dealing with my own clients, fixing problems, like mostly legal problems that my clients had. And yeah, I mean, just learning firsthand, learning as I went through the emotion of things. And that's really just keep an open mind, be willing to do everything a lot of times over and over and over and over again. Like I was doing the offers and some contracts for other more experienced agents because that's like since I didn't have any listings at the time, I had to start somewhere. And yeah, but yeah, just be willing to listen.
Okay,
Yeah.
awesome. And what I suppose what value would you give to having had I suppose more of a mentor or some kind of sales coaching with somebody who's going to give you a lot more, I suppose, foundations in order to go through, and and the knowledge of the sale, and where I should start and where I should finish, and kind of where I am on the process during that time.
Can you repeat the question?
Yeah. What do you think there would have been a benefit, or do you think it would have helped you accelerate even more at the start of your career had you had more mentorship and direct coaching specifically for sales based around real estate?
Oh yeah, yeah, for sure. Um, Again, this guy, the Enrique, who is pretty much like a coach to me, but like the most important thing for most people, I think, is just consistency. Um, he was someone that was very passionate about these things. So he used to like call me randomly, like, "Hey, have you done your 10 daily calls or stuff like that?"
Yeah.
So it's just, I mean, we're humans. We have a ton of distractions. So having someone just um, watching over you, or someone that you have to be, what's the word for that? To be held.
Accountability.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Just having that, it's just when we have so many distractions like cell phones, social media, and all that, it's just it's just necessary to have someone there to just keep you grounded and to remind you what you have to do, what you have to not do as much and all that. But yeah, I mean, coaching has always been recommended in this industry. We used to have a coach, like a group coach, but I mean, it doesn't. It's just different. You need like a specialized like approach, I think, to these things. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so interesting as a real estate agent, and even if you work with a brokerage, you're never really an employee. Um, and you want to take a couple of days off, you want to take it easy, you want to finish early on a Friday, you can, and nobody's in most positions, nobody's going to say no to that. And I think it's sometimes really difficult, particularly more when the market is a little bit harder to get up early, get on your sales calls and plan your day out rather than think, it's slow. I'm probably not going to get a walk in today. It's okay if I arrive at my floor time a little bit late today, or I'll do that campaign email next month, etc. I think it's very, very easy to do. Um, I'm conscious of not taking up too much of your day, buddy. Someone asked you one other question, and I think, what is the biggest challenge that you face in progressing your business onto the next level, if you like, or the next stage?
Oof. Like for me specifically, um, I'd say just consistency.
Okay.
I feel like I've been losing a lot of time with different things because I just didn't really have the experience or just someone to tell me like not to do that. Um, and just going back to that past question that you said, like we as agents, like we don't really have a schedule and we don't have like, and we do have bosses, but like it's not like they're on top of you every single like moment of the day, like a usual 9 to 5. So just getting your stuff together, it's just way harder, in my opinion. Um, but yeah, it's mm,
Yeah, I
it's
agree. That's
just
definitely the hardest part. It's self-motivation, and I think it's much easier to self-motivate yourself when you're selling a bunch of houses and you've got clients all over the place and everything's going great. And of course, when it's tough, it's really, really easy to take your foot off the gas, to lose a bit of the consistency, to stop following the processes strictly. And then also as well, a little bit of self-doubt can come in.
mhm,
I think being part of a group or a community there, which is sharing success, and if you think, wow, my quarter two was 50% down on last year, what am I doing wrong? What am I doing differently? If you found out that the whole area, the whole team, the industry, that particular sector or that state or whatever was also 50% down, it doesn't make you feel so bad. Okay, it's not just me, I'm doing the right thing. I'll keep on plugging away. So I think there's definitely some importance there. Awesome. This has been it's been great to catch up actually, buddy, and have a good chat with you. And if it's of interest to you, but I'm happy to do this again in a couple of weeks or whatever, and just kind of again
Yeah.
see another take on the market and talk about things that we do well and things that we could do more of. Any other
Yeah.
questions for me?
No. Actually, I don't know if you saw the video that I made, the um, the Tales from Land's End, but
The first one only.
yeah. So I've been trying to do that, and that just has given like a whole different like meaning to being a real estate agent. Um, and yeah, just getting to know people, getting to film with them, it's just it has brought me like different type of motivation. So yeah, it's
What are you doing with those? Are you putting them onto your YouTube channel?
yeah, on
Nice.
YouTube, on my social media pages and all that. And yeah, it's just nice to learn about people, learn about the history of certain things. So yeah,
I also think it's a great hook for potential clients as well to see you know that you know you're assimilated into the community, you know the area, and I think one of the, as I mentioned at the start of the call, one of the most impressive things for me about your style of business is, despite being one of the younger agents on the market, you've got so much experience and so much knowledge of the area, which I really find is invaluable. I think if I was a buyer, I would rather have somebody who, really knows the area as opposed to really knows how to sell me a particular house. I mean, at the end of the day, I'll choose the house I want to make an offer on, and I would love your opinion on that. But I think reasons why this area might be better than the other area for rentals or equity growth or future equity growth, etc. So yeah, keep doing a good job, buddy. I think you're going to have. We're all having a bit of a slow year this year, but I think once the tap starts flowing again, I think you're going to do really well, mate.
yeah, yeah. I mean, high season here starts in mid-October, so hopefully we'll start to sell then.
Yeah, get all those stats ready to go and all your
Yep,
marketing stuff, and I look forward to seeing the next video.
yep. Right.
Thank you so much, Jorge. I'll speak to you soon,
Thank
buddy.
you.
Cheers.
Have a good one. Bye.